Hello for kids, this is day 58 of me playing chess every day until I reach the rapid rating of 2500. So here we go. We have the game, we have the white pieces against a slightly lower rated opponent, only 1900, and we face the French defense. So pawn to d4 controlling the center, and now pawn d5 is the French defense. So after this move I like to play the Tarrasch with knight d2, defending the attack e4 pawn. And now takes is not the best move actually. Knight d7 or bishop e7 is here just fine, yes. So now not knight f3, I think. Knight f6 is the move here. You firstly play knight d7, which is kind of weird actually. But it's just okay. Bishop e3, knight f6 and takes. Knight takes and castles. Should I take actually? Knight g3 is also an option. But I think just takes, knight takes, castles. There is no queen takes on d4 because of bishop b5 pulling the queen, and then just c3 bishop g5, and we will slowly outmaneuver our opponent if possible, of course. We'll be playing against this bishop blocking the e6 pawn. I mean blocked by the e6 pawn. Now there is no queen d4 of course because simply knight takes. But yes, even if the knight wasn't on f3, there was just bishop b5 check constantly threatened. So yes, just probably c3 rook e1 is also an option. Rook e1 is something I'd like to begin with, probably. So yes, just rook e1 now. I will be playing quickly. Knight e5 is also my move. Bishop, not bishop, but pawn to c3. b6 is actually not the most precise option, I think. But I'm not sure quite why. It is the idea to play bishop b7 is there, but it's not quite common in the French defense whatsoever. I guess you are trying to threaten to take here, and then I would probably need to take back with the pawn, but I can simply play c3 here, bishop b7 and bishop g5, and maybe queen c2 and takes on h7. So that's just c3 to begin with, creating this pawn chain here in the center, and on the queen side, now bishop b7, there is no threat to take on f3 because queen takes is possible now, not hanging the d4 pawn. So here I think just bishop g5 is fine. I don't see, I mean there is h6, but bishop g5, h6, I could potentially go back to g3. I could just go back to f5 at that moment, but I'm not quite sure. But bishop g5 seems nice, pressuring the knight, pressuring perhaps the h7 pawn in the future. h6 here is pretty logical, I would agree with that. But I mean bishop c2, queen d3 or queen c2 and threatening the h7 pawn is also an idea. Now rook c8 trying to play c5, which is I guess okay. But c5 I don't wanna take on c5 myself, and if he ever takes on d4 I take back with the knight, and this rook is pretty bad, staring at this very strong c3 pawn, so I think my position there would be just fine. Bishop c2 is an option. Bishop c2 is always an option. There is idea to play queen d3 and then g6 has to be played. After g6 I guess like knight e5 and just queen h3. I'm going for some dark squares, queen h4 and knight g4 also. An idea. But yes, just bishop c2 to begin with, yeah. This is quite common to create this battery on the light squares and then to go and try to checkmate my opponent. So bishop c2, there is not c5, c5 is not challenging enough. I think there is h6 after bishop c2 and then simply takes, queen d3 and g6 has to be played. And after that, I think I might as well play knight e5, threatening to take on g6, which probably should be fine. There is at least a draw if knight takes on g6, f takes, queen takes, bishop g7, queen h7, king f7. I think I have just queen g6 back. If the king moves to e7, I take the bishop on g7. That's pretty logical. But yeah, just bishop c2. And I will of course show you all the lines I'm calculating in my head at the moment in the analysis part of the game. which will of course be held just after the game is finished. c5 I don't think is challenging. Queen d3, I noticed there is one subtlety that I haven't covered or I haven't calculated, which is the move pawn to c4 actually. There is no time to take the knight because my queen is hanging, and there is no checkmate because of the knight. So, there are two options. Either I take on f6 and he takes back, and then I play queen d3, g6 will be forced, but then h6 wasn't played. So, that position should be just fine. Here g6 is just forced, I would think. And what then is a very good question actually. Queen d3 and g6, what should I play then? Rook d1 seems like a natural move. Pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn. I'm going to play queen h3 probably, but I don't think I have an attack actually. So takes, knight g5, bishop takes queen h5, there is bishop h6. But also I have some rook lifts actually. Queen d3, g6. I could potentially take, or maybe not take, maybe I mean queen d3 looks nice, but I don't think it does anything. So there is also queen e2, which is quite on, but queen d3, bishop takes knight, bishop takes here should be just fine, winning the game actually. And if if takes, no, where if I play random move, he's probably threatening to take on f3 and take the pawn here, but I guess I would have the move rook d1 there, pinning the pawn to the queen. So queen e2 looks just nice as well, trying to play knight e5 and have an attack like that. So I think queen d3 is just forcing the issue, and my opponent's plan is quite simple: play g6, be solid on the light squares, fighting against this battery here on the long diagonal. I think that's just fine for my opponent. So queen e2 is a bit more tricky actually, kind of allowing him to play bishop takes on f3, and I'm taking free pawn, which is not free because I play rook a to d1, pinning and winning as they say. So yes, I like the move queen e2 a lot. I am also preparing rook d1 if nothing happens, and then to take this on c5, attacking the queen and taking the free pawn here. So that's just a very nice idea as well. I am preparing knight e5 always. Queen e3 is also in the air if something like h6 happens. If h6 happens, then I simply take and play like queen d3, which is very nice, forcing g6, and then knight e5 happens, which might be as well very nice, although maybe it's just nothing. But I do like that position quite a lot. But yes, h6 here. After h6 I will probably just take the knight, and then maybe even play knight e5, maybe play rook d1 firstly, forcing him to play like queen c7 or something. c7 is a very natural square for the queen, but my opponent chooses to play bishop takes on f3. That's a natural move, what can I say, just queen takes here, rook d1. There is bishop c5 actually. Bishop c5 here, but I play the move b4. b4 is very nice move, restraining the bishop from c5 back to e7. Rook takes on d3. Actually c3 is very weak there, but I could potentially just outmaneuver my opponent because he has no light square bishop anymore. And now the threat is also queen h3. Take here and win the game. Queen h3, g6 happens. Well, that's not a problem. I firstly take here, then I play here and just checkmate you on h7 after bishop takes on f6. And I really like these French defense positions where you get to have this light square bishop on this very nice diagonal, and my opponent's light square bishop is usually bad, but now it traded itself for not that great knight on f3. It had some potential, but nothing in comparison with my bishop here on this very long and very aggressive diagonal. I'm not sure what my opponent's idea here is. Bishop c5 is simply met with b4 and rook takes on d4. And maybe queen h3, g6 and rook h4. Okay, you play queen to d5, which I don't quite get it, because I think I get a pretty nice endgame. There is one thing I need to calculate before doing anything else. The pawn is still hanging. My opponent has offered me a queen trade, which I'm not going to accept probably. There is bishop e4, knight takes, bishop takes, rook e8. That is fine for my opponent. But rook takes d4. The calculation needs to be more precise. Queen b7 doesn't work. Queen c6 is actually the only move there, probably. What would be the material count actually? It would be equal materially. I mean, look at this attack on the H file. What was I calculating? Actually, I forgot what I was calculating. Oh, I was calculating bishop e4. Bishop e4, knight e4 is, I guess, the only move. You could say that after bishop e4 you're going to take on a2. But after bishop takes, and queen h3 and g6 happens, I don't have an attack. So that's probably bad. Bishop e4 is probably bad. You could as well just take here. Knight takes, knight takes, and then take on d4. With a pretty nice position with the d file here. With the light square bishop. I can't complain about that. So just queen takes here. Knight takes. Is there any tactic whatsoever? Bishop takes here. Knight takes. I just take here, and take here, which should be just fine. Bishop takes, king takes. Queen h3. King back to g8. There I have literally nothing, I believe. That's not a move either. I am very tempted to just take the queen, enter better endgame, and just be as solid as possible. I will get my rooks to the 7th rank. My opponent has 0 counterplay, that's the point. So just queen takes here, knight takes, bishop takes on e7, knight takes on e7, and rook takes on d4. I have an active rook. I get the d file. A rook d4. I guess there is rook d8, but I play rook d1 there. There is only one. There is only one open file. But I just realized. There is rook d8, rook here, knight to c6. Ay. But then I play rook d7. It should be much better. Okay. And also I could go there with a tempo. Okay, you play knight to d5, excuse me. But what exactly is your idea after bishop b3 and rook d8, the rook d1? I play rook d1 firstly, and now a deadly mistake is to play rook d8. Why? I simply play pawn to c4. Oh, but that actually might not work that much actually. Because c4, you play g6, which is a nice move. Yes, I will show you the line afterwards. But after bishop b3 now, would you go where? You go to f6, I guess. To prevent the access to d7. Which is smart, I must say. Bishop e4 here. Bishop f3. c4. The same idea. So how to play this actually? My opponent is playing super fast, that is one thing I need to mention. Bishop e3, knight f6. I mean, knight on f6 is pretty good, but I could as well try to expand on the king side. So let's just play bishop b3. Yes. Threatening to win the pawn and win the game because I have two active rooks, which should be just enough. So knight f6, g4 is my idea. Or h3 and g4. g4, there is e5. There's h3 and g4 and g5. You cannot challenge me on the d file. You cannot move the knight because I play rook d7, which should be just much better. Rook b7, rook d7, pressure on the f7. Threatening to take here and probably win the game if the knight doesn't defend the h7, which would be just checkmate, of course. I will show you everything after the game, I promise. But g4, g5 is now just a very deadly threat. Although knight h, you play h5, but you are putting so many pawns on the light squares now, which is quite concerning, isn't it? g4 takes e5, rook a4, a5 here. Seems like okay. What about f3 and g4? f3, e5. If e5, I'll simply play rook d6, which is just fine. e5, I could play rook d6, and then maybe like rook e1, winning the pawn pretty much. Play king g7, I play g4 now. That's the whole idea. That's the whole idea. He can double up on the h file, but I play king g2, king g3, maybe rook d2. If you... I don't know how I will recapture the pawn. Maybe with my pawn. That's always so hard to decide. With this pawn or with h pawn. I would say that in this particular position, I think taking with the h pawn is correct actually. But I might be very wrong. My idea was to take with the f pawn. But this pawn suddenly gets passed. Rook c5. Okay, so you are scared of me playing g5. That's a good sign. That's a very good sign. But I can simply improve my position by playing king g2 and king g3 and f4 and g5. Knight check, I go up. I will try to play quickly now. I only have 6 minutes left and those might be very important at the end, so I cannot spend all the time on one single move, of course. So just improving my position slowly should be a strategy to go with. So rook on c5 can also be challenged, probably, with some bishop move, but probably not. Okay, b5. What is an idea of b5 except putting another pawn on the light square? I guess a5 and a4. I could play a4 myself and rook the... Oh, a4 looks so sick. a4 looks good, but it opens up the b file, which is not good. And gives him too much counterplay. It's not worth it actually. a5, after a5, I play a3, a4. I simply reroute my bishop somewhere, maybe bishop e3, bishop e4 also. So maybe a3 first, yes. Being just solid. Also playing like rook c6 and going back. Rook c6, very nice idea as well. As long as my pawns are fine here. King g3, nothing's... Oh, I should prevent the knight to get to d5 actually. Aye, so after e4, a4 I should play bishop a4 actually. But that's just too passive, yeah. Although rook b4 happens. Although, is it that bad if knight here? I simply go here. You give me check, fine. I guess it's here. So rook d2 firstly, yeah. Rook d2, a4, bishop c2, knight d5, bishop e4. Is there anything? Knight f6 actually comes with an attack to the bishop, but even rook endgame should be much better for me because of the 7th rank that I get. So that's a prophylactic move for my reasons. A4, bishop c2 here. Here, if the rook were on d1, he could just give this check, which doesn't quite help me now. So that was just a bad move actually. A4 here, check. Oh, now there is no knight e2 actually. So that's the idea, to prevent knight's access to e2. That was the idea, yes. Rook d2 to prevent knight's access to e2. It is pretty complex, but you need to see what your opponent wants actually. After king g3, there would be simply a fork, but I'm forking chess. I shouldn't allow a fork to get to me. I should fork people, but I shouldn't get forked by people. That's two very different things, of course. But yes, now b4 is also an option, but it just loses the game probably. a4 just, I mean, these pawns will be weak in some future. Bishop d3, rook b4 probably loses the pawn. I guess bishop f1 going here and maybe back, and having a lot of attackers on a single pawn can be quite dangerous for my opponent, of course. We're only at move 27, but I only have 5 minutes left in a pretty complicated knights versus bishop endgame, in which I think I'm pretty okay if the knight cannot get to b3, but it shouldn't really get to b3. Although it could get to c4. But that's pretty bad. But yes, if the knight moves from f6, I probably play like rook d7 or what. But that's probably my idea. You play rook h8 here. Why? Where are you going? Just play king g3, improve my position even more. Here. That's nothing, yeah. The knight. Oh, the knight gets to c4. If I play king g3, a4, bishop c2 here. There is just here. Wait. So that's pretty complicated, yeah. King g3, a4, bishop c2 and knight d5. I play bishop e4, knight e3. What about a4 now? Takes, rook takes. No, it loses actually. The pawn here, so king g3, yeah. Just going up, defending all the. Oh, but now I give away the h1 square, which was pretty bad, yes. And I could simply go to d1 because he's probably threatening rook b1. And also like some checks that are not pretty pleasant. And after rook d1 I could just take with, no, taking with the bishop is probably just bad. But I shouldn't get that low on time. I only have 3 minutes and 43 seconds left, so rook takes can be pre-moved here. b4 is nothing actually. No, b4 is nothing. Although b4, a4, just c4, yeah. Rook d5, I play rook d4, I should be at least equal. I would have an extra passed b4 pawn, which should be nice. I managed to pre-move a single move, which is An achievement. A4, bishop c2, knight e5, bishop e4 and knight e3 forks my rook and the c4 square, excuse me. And he inevitably gets to c4, pressuring everything. And if he gets to c4, probably I'm just lost. So I shouldn't allow him to get to c4. But yes, you play here, which with an idea not to allow f4. You're allowing, oh, with an idea to get here. I guess I play rook d2, you play rook e1. Also king f2, yeah. Stops anything. And also I'm threatening f4. Because knight takes his check, yes, but I go here. I fork here and here. Double attack, not fork, because it's a simply attack and this is just blunder, so. Rook e3 there worked, but I take the knight, so. I'm preventing the rook to get to the e2, I'm preventing the rook to get to e3 and to e1 with one single piece. f4 is also threatened because of my king. OBS just crashed, but we only traded a few pawns, so let's just go back to the game. Okay, some OBS crash was there, but it doesn't quite matter. Here I play bishop e2 now. Excuse me if you haven't seen my thought process, but this might be a blunder, bishop e2. I wasn't really concentrated on the game. King f2. I have 30 seconds left. My OBS is recording, so that's not too bad. I go king g3 now. I'm not sure. This should be okay. And then there is check picking up this. Well, you can just play here, here. Yes, but I go. Rook g3. It is very weird. I'm not sure how to play this actually. Bishop e5 and a4 seems like it should hold on. Yes, that's a good move. I'm not sure how to respond to it. I cannot go up. The knight is controlled, it cannot go any further. Rook a1 here, here, and here, here, and here. No, here I go. I could repeat once. If check, I go back to f2 and then I think I wanna go here so badly and then I should be... Yeah, but this allows here, here. I mean, I'm just blundering. That's too bad. Here. I think that's okay. That still should be a draw here and here. Yes, it should be a draw. And then my bishop sits on f5 and it should be... If I mean, now you play knight c2, king d1. King d1, knight e3. I have time, let me think. King d1 or king f1? I like king d1 to attack the knight, but I'm not sure. So sure. And then I go back here to c1 probably. Oh, but then takes. Oh, but then I have king d2. No, but then I'm lost. I play here, here, and here. Yes. Here I play. Oh, you can take. I forgot about that part. How did I forget that he can take? I guess that's the only move. And be solid. He's not threatening a check, so I go back. And then forward. There was... I mean, it should be a draw. Theoretically. Probably. Not anymore. Fuck, oh my goodness, how did I allow this? If I go... Is the knight trapped? Not at all. Here, the pawn endgame should just be lost. Pretty simply, so I cannot allow that to happen. How did I lose this? Here? I still go here. No, this is not a draw anymore. I mean, and even my OBS crashed, so... Here threatening, here. Just push, yeah. So, I think I was better all the game. I mean, at least not worse. After bishop takes on f3, I was fine. And then I blundered rook takes on a2. Now we're threatening to push, probably. Actually, that might be okay. If you push, I go here, here, still lost. This is just lost here. I mean, this knight is perfectly placed, blocking off my king. King h4 here, push here. Maybe. But, come on, I think I was fine the whole game, and I was trying to concentrate fully, but I... Now I'm threatening king g... Yes, you play here, which is fine. No, that's just so lost. But my bishop is also fine, so you need a few moves to get around or like here and then here. Should be just fine. Although it hangs. I mean, you need to be precise if you're trying to win this. Because it's... I mean, you need to move a knight, but where to? You go check, okay. Go here. You go check, I go back. You go king g3, I probably resign. Lol. It's not that funny, but okay. King here, king h1. Loses the pawn. So, I mean, it is complete. You go g3. I go here. G2 here. And g3. That is checkmate, so. G2 is probably just a draw. No, I'm completely lost no matter what he plays. But it will be kind of hard for him to convert actually, because there is nothing hard to convert. Yo, here I go, here. That's the idea. Yeah, but this is just losing, yeah. This is stalemate. No, it's not. Um, Come on, how did I lose that? Play king f3. Yes, so I resign now. There was nothing I can do. Let's game review the game now. But I'm just completely lost the whole game, so it doesn't quite matter. I mean, the whole end game. When the rook a2 was played, probably I'm just losing. There is nothing I could do. But yes, we will see. Yes, so I played with 83% accuracy. My opponent played with 86. Nothing special, I guess. So let's analyze the game now. Pawn to e4, pawn to e6, the French defense. Now pawn to d4, d5, and knight d2 is my special move here. Now takes is not considered very accurate, but okay. Now knight d7 and knight f6 are two most common ideas. But my opponent played bishop e7, which was still fine. Knight f3, and now knight d7 kind of retransposes to the same defense. So bishop e3, knight gf6, and now you take, which is the best move. So takes, knight takes, not bishop takes, excuse me, but knight takes here is the best way of playing. Castles, castles, and I played rook e1. Now rook e1 allows b6, so oh, I get it. Knight e5 doesn't allow b6 because there is knight c6, yes. So here b6, knight c6, and I pick up the knight, the bishop pair, which should be nice. Queen f3, attacking the rook, then rook b8, which is nice. So yes, I played rook e1, allowing b6. I played c3, bishop b7, bishop g5, rook c8, nothing special, bishop c2, and c5. Queen e2 was played by me here, and bishop takes on f3 is the best move apparently. Just queen takes, cd, and now rook a to d1 was my whole idea. By time usage, I think my opponent missed this idea because he was thinking like 1 minute here, and queen d5 was indeed the best move. Queen takes on d5 was the only response. Knight takes, bishop e7, knight e7, and just rook takes on d4. Now, here there was an option to fight for the d file, and after rook e d1, I thought knight c6, but then rook d7 is something I realized is pretty good. I guess there is rook d8 here, yes. And I pretty much need... I mean, there is rook c7, knight e5, let's say. Rook a7 is just a draw, apparently, because his rook gets too active here. There is not rook d2 immediately. Why? Because there is rook a8 checkmate here. So you play something like g5, and then rook d2, and you are just too active for me. So he played knight d5, stopping any knight d7 idea. So I played I played rook d1 firstly, g6, and bishop b3. Now knight f6 is the only move preventing me from accessing to the d7 point to infiltrate his position. Of course, if I play here, I'm just lost. I'm down on exchange. So I played h3 with an idea of g4 and g5 to dislodge the knight. h5, stopping g4, f3, trying to play g4, king g7, and g4 happens. H takes, and I wonder what is the best way to take. H takes on g4 was actually the best move, because if f takes, I was just thinking that this pawn is just too advanced, and also these two pawns are pretty weak, especially h3. So after h takes on g4, the correct move, rook c5, king g2, and improving my position b5, and a3, a5, trying to play a4 or b4, which doesn't quite work, but still expanding on the queen side. I played rook 1 d2 because I saw that here, if a4, if something random like king g3 s, a4, if I go bishop c2, then I'm probably just slightly worse here. Why? Because bishop e4 here allows... Wait, Oh my goodness. Here I thought that you can play knight e2 check, forking my queen and my king and my rook, and that's why I played rook d2. But you can't play knight e2 check. That's the illegal move. So my whole idea that I explained so greatly wasn't even there, but okay. Rook h8 here. King g3 improving, rook h1 and rook d1 trading. Rook c5, king f2, and here knight h7, I played rook d7 instantly, king f6, and I played f4, which is a mistake. I should have played king e3, activating my rook, or rook b7 is also nice. I played f4, which I thought was very nice. With an idea to play like king f3, maybe g4, maybe bishop c2 checkmate, so if something random happens, like, let's say, rook c8 for example, there is g5, you play king f3, you could, for example, take here, also king f3 is completely fine, if like rook anywhere, well, bishop c2 is checkmate, this beautiful coordination with my pieces and my king. After f4, my opponent played g4, g5, excuse me, I played f5 instantly. Why? Well, there is a beautiful tactic. If you take, I play rook takes on f7, if you play king g6, I take g takes f5, rook takes f5, I take, you take, and then bishop c2 at the end, winning the knight in the corner, and that's what I saw in my head. And of course I decided g5, I mean f5 after g5 should just be winning. My opponent can just wait, for example a4, but my opponent played knight f5 actually, knight f8, rook a7 and a4, bishop a2, and rook e5. I just waited and here it's only plus 0.5 if I play bishop b1, which is, I mean, is it findable? I would argue it is in a classical game, because what do you do else? But I played c4, which is just equal, and now rook e1, I took, he took, and I played b3, and after b3 there is one more move that I need to take into consideration, which is rook b1. I only considered rook a7 here, which is quite weird, because rook a7 just loses. AB, rook b7, and b2. I cannot play bishop d3, because I play rook d1 here. Oh, I can play... Oh, I protect the b1 square, actually. Well, that's fascinating. Okay, but never mind. He took, I took with the rook. And here is where my opponent started to outplay me. He brought the knight into the center, which was still quite inactive. I played king g3 here, and I repeated. I didn't want a draw, so I played rook g3, with an idea of bishop to b5. Played rook a2, pinning me. I played king e1, knight c6, and bishop b5 was a not losing mistake, but still, I should have played like rook f3, rook d3 also to control the knight. I played bishop b4, which was bishop b5, which was not losing. After knight d4, bishop to d2 is indeed very hard to defend. After knight to king d1 is a losing mistake. I should have played anywhere else on the second rank. King d2 only move. King d2, knight takes with check happens. I play king d3 and it's still losing, so it doesn't quite matter. But okay, king d1 is rook takes a3, and the endgame is of course pretty much lost here. I still thought I was fighting for some draw here, and here my opponent forked me. If I play bishop f3, where knight takes, king takes, and this is stable base, and it is just winning for black. So here g4, play bishop. Wait, was it a draw here? Bishop c8 is apparently a draw. Why the hell is bishop c8 a draw? Well, bishop c8, what about like... Oh, g4, g3 doesn't work. This also doesn't work. Well, I guess it's a draw. Wow. But I play bishop e2, king g5, king e3, e5? King e4 apparently a draw once again. King e4 is so logical. But here, you play g3? Bishop f1 only move. king g4, bishop g2, here, bishop h1, here, and of course it ends in a draw, but now from here on my opponent just outplayed me. I mean, it was just lost, so here, yes, it's one more option. If you like king f3, why is king f3 not a draw? It's a stalemate, yeah? Yes, king f3 is a stalemate. Yes. But he played 94 and I simply resigned here, so that was my game today. If you have anything to tell me, please let me know in the comments below. I will be reading and answering all of your comments, and if you like the video, please consider subscribing, it would really help me out, and see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye!